After creating the EMF model and the underlying code, we can create instances of this model stored in a NeoEMF persistent resource. But first, let us open plugin.xml and add some plugins for our project. Since we are going to use a new 4J EMF, choose the Blueprints API and all the plugins concerning Blueprints and add it to the project. Save this file, and then you can go back to our code. Open the source folder and create a new package called graph.usage. We're going to put the classes that use our code. Then create a new class with any name. We will call here class main with a public static void main method for executing the code. Click on finish and the class will be created. Now, as for any EMF model, we will first create a resource set called hasSet and initialize it with the resource implementation class. Since NeoEMF can use different backends, we need first to register persistent backend factory, which is responsible for the creation of the persistent backend that is in charge of the model storage. So we're going to register Blueprints factory to the Blueprints URI scheme. It can be done using the register method and giving an as argument and a scheme and also an instance of a backend factory. This instance can be obtained using the static method called getInstance from the class Blueprints persistent backend factory. Then, as for any regular EMF initialization, we need to register a resource factory implementation in the resource set specifying the URI protocol. This is done using a resource factory with the corresponding URI protocol. Use the getResourceFactory registry method to obtain the factory registry and then the getProtocol to factory map to translate the registry in a map. And then you can put in this map the blueprint scheme using the blueprints URI.scheme and then the persistent resource factory .get instance will give the instance of the persistent resource factory. Creating a resource in NeoEMF is similar to a standard EMF. First, declare a resource using the resource class, and then use the previously defined resource set to create a new resource. Use the method createResource and give to the resource in a new file created using the blueprints class and in this class using the createFileURI method. And give to this method a new file that will be created in the models folder, and the new file will be called mygraph.graphdb, which is the extension we use in NeoEMF for Neo4j databases. Okay, I forgot to import the file class to this class, so let's use the auto-completion to import this file. Differently from the EMF implementation, we need first to save the resource before using it. This is needed to create the database and all the indexes that are created with these databases. So save the resource and use a builder, the Blueprint Neo4j options builder, to pass the options. In this case, we're going to use no, just create a new builder with no options. Since this save method can throw two exceptions, we'll add these two exceptions to the method declaration. Now, to populate the resource, we are going to write a simple code that creates instances of the graph model and save these instances to the resource. So first, we're going to create a graph factory that will allow us to create instances of our model elements. So the usage is to use the graph factory class and the eInstance static attribute. Then we can use this factory to create a graph. So using the create graph method from the factory. Then we're going to write a small loop to populate the graph. So let's use the for instruction. Oh, I forgot to import the graph class, the graph interface. So let us create a for loop that will be executed 100 times and use this loop to populate the graph. Okay, so first we're going to use the factory again to create a first vertex called V1. So declare it vertex V1 and use the factory to call the create vertices method to instance V1, to instantiate V1. Then let us set a label for V1 using setLabel method, and we will call it vertex uh, using the I variable plus a. After creating this first vertex, let us create a second vertex called V2 with the same factory method, so create vertice. Factory the dot create vertice, and then let us set the label of V2 the same way we set the label from V1. Call it the vertice plus the I variable and B plus I plus B. Once you have these two vertices, we'll create an edge. So declare the edge E and then use the factory method create edge to instantiate E. And you set the two vertex from this edge, the from vertex V1, and then we're going to set the to vertex V2. After that, we will add the edge to the graph using the getEdges method, and then add method to add the E to the collection, and then the same thing for the vertices using the getVertices method followed by add V1 and then add of V2. So this loop will be executed 100 times, as I said, and will populate the graph, creating instances of vertices and edge. Then, after populating the graph, we need to add this graph to the resource. Since graph is a container, we just need to add the instance of graph to the resource. So using about get contents and then adding graph to the collection. And after that, we will save the resource using the same save method and using the abstract persistent option builder class with the convenience method no options. Now our code is finished. Let us save the class with the save button and then execute it using the run menu, the run option from the run menu. Okay, so to execute it, there's a log here creating saying that the present resources were saved and then close it. And then let us refresh our project to see the newly created folder called database. Inside this database, there is another database called mygraph.graphdb, which contains our database, all the indices and log files from Neo4j. This folder can be opened using a Neo4j browser. If now this tutorial is finished, if you need to contact us, send us an email or go to our GitHub page and open an issue. Thank you.